learning a dance, it's 4.5 minutes. According to Yvonne, the choreographer, it takes 50 hours, 50, about to learn the dance. So what does that say? It says it's pretty complex. Is it complex?
Yes.
Yeah? It looks easy, but it's quite detailed. And there are different juxtapositions in the body. So your upper body might be doing one thing while your lower body's doing something else. And the movements aren't recognizable. They're strange combinations. So it takes a while to learn it. I mean, we all know that, right? You kind of have to memorize the movement. So we've worked quite hard. We just got through the whole dance yesterday, so the end is a little bit fresh. And we've also been working on ways of notating, of writing down the movements. I assume you're all dancers or choreographers. So we as dancers often come up with our own language or borrow ways of writing or drawing, illustrating, mapping dances on paper as a way to remember. Some people might not do that because your muscle memory might be quite good. But a lot of us have to write things down, one, in order to remember, and two, to help teach it to someone else or communicate what our ideas are to dancers if we're choreographers. So we've been practicing ways of writing down the dance, ways of remembering. So we've done some mapping of the spatial patterns. The dance is even choreographed as to where you're looking. So you have to usually know where the eyes are. So we've also kind of written that down on our map as a way to remember. So I've invited my group that I've been working with to teach you a very short section of the dance starting at the beginning. But they're not going to show you physically, they're only going to read to you. And your job is to translate into movement what you hear. You may get it right, you may get it wrong. You'll get to see the dance later, so then you can kind of see how your translation worked. And Yvonne Rainer, the choreographer who I've worked with to learn the dance, wouldn't call it translation. She would actually call it transmitting. Slightly different. So kind of translation, right when you learn another language, oftentimes there's a little bit of slippage or you make mistakes. Transmit is to try to really get it as the original is. So let's call it transmitting. So we're going to try to transmit the dance to you without showing you physically. So your job is to hear it and transmit it to your body and show us what you think it is.
Going down and top
yeah, exactly. How you did. That's good. And then after the fifth swing, you start walking into a slight curve over your left shoulder, starting with the left leg. You're making 2 steps. In the same time as you're stepping, you're straightening your arms into an airplane position. After you've done that, you make 2 small circles in front of you. And as you're finishing the second one, you're starting walking backwards, retreating your step, stepping over your right foot. Your pelvis is continuing the weight until it makes you jump on the right leg. Okay, good. Your left leg is stretched in front of you. Your chest is in a slight curve. You tuck your chin. As you're starting to make your arabesque backwards with the left leg, you start to place your back of the palm in front of your forehead. Your left arm is resting on your thigh, and then you just lower the arm, the palm to the floor. You look where you go. You lower your body. Not so slow, just go down.
And that makes me be from the beginning on much more centered.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, I also felt kind of like a robot because they cannot explain every detail, so you don't really get the translations. So you get a shape and then the next shape and the next shape. So it's hard to find a dynamic in it, or a fluent movement style or something. It's just doing what they say and not more.
Maybe, but I was not trying to just feel it to my body. This one, chilling, but I felt completely the opposite.
My presentation is about my experience of learning Trio A from Yvonne Rainer in 2010 and becoming one of the 5 official transmitters of the dance. I will discuss my approach to remembering or capturing the dance in my body through documenting Rainer's words that she uses to describe movements in the dance. I am currently working on what I call a pedagogical toolbook or guide for myself and my future students of the dance, or as Yvonne has named it, my project for posterity's sake. For me, dance is hard to remember, hard to put the physical movements back together again and again over time, and to attempt as close to an exact transmission as possible, knowing that my body couldn't be more different from that of Yvonne's. She so long and light, me more short and muscular. How do I transmit a dance with the tool of my body alone? A tool that differs from its source. For me, the body may not be enough. I need support through language and image. When earning my master's degree at UCLA, I told Susan Foster of my distaste for performing dance to the point of calling it perverse. Foster promptly responded, "You should go study with Yvonne Rainer. She once felt that way too." So I did. That was in 2006, and Yvonne had just moved to Los Angeles and was teaching a course called Approaches to Performance at the University of California, Irvine. By this time, Yvonne had come back to dance and was currently engaged in making new work. So what I thought would be my exit from an art form I had been disenchanted with through studying with the woman who turned dance on its head evolved into my own unexpected return to dancing after a period of working in the visual arts and interdisciplinary performance. After completing the course with Yvonne, she agreed to work with me as one of my MFA committee members. Over the last 5 years, our mentor-mentee relationship has grown to include lunches, dinners, seeing performances together, and my helping her out with house sitting and driving her to eye doctor appointments. So this is all to say that by the time I asked Yvonne if I could learn Trio A to teach it, I had established a relationship with her and knew that I wanted to set aside my own work, or rather acknowledge that I had no motivation for making something of my own, in order to continue to work with her. To be a dancer for someone else's work, something that I had rarely as a committed choreographer ever done. Trio A is a dance that I felt I always knew. Not that I knew the movements or how to execute them, but I knew it on a conceptual level. Somehow, maybe because the movements seen in the 1978 film of the dance could be somehow felt in my body. Those weighted swinging arms, the tapping foot, the head turn to one corner or the other, the general lack of look-at-me attitude that somehow for me, as a student of hybrid forms of postmodern dance, and this thing called release technique seemed so tangible, so absolutely doable. Then I engaged in actually learning those movements from Yvonne, and what I thought was going to be a somewhat speedy dance learning experience turned into 60 hours of dance labor over the course of 3 months in a studio in Los Angeles. Me sweating my way through the arduous task of learning a dance where nothing except walking repeats. Only right angles and curves are allowed as directional shifts, and juxtapositions of various body parts are expected to be executed with a kind of evenness and unfaltering quality. I had my work cut out for me. Since then, I have been certified by Yvonne as one of the 5 dancers to transmit the dance. The term transmitter emerged in a conversation we had over my showing her a certificate I had found at my grandmother's. It was from elementary school and was nearly the size of a dining room table. I was prompting a discussion about what certified might mean in the context of Trio A and asked her, if there was a paper document, what would it say? And she replied without hesitation, transmitter of Trio A. While working with Yvonne and learning the dance, one thing that struck me was the precise and consistent verbal language she uses to describe movements and intention. Her language references historic dance forms and choreographers such as Allow the Ballet Arm and the Martha Graham Walk, as well as metaphor and adjectives and imagery in Like Hammering a Nail or Like Rocks on the End of a String. It is this kind of information that for me as a student and now transmitter of the dance is the backbone of it. Rayner's language supports both the correct delivery of her dance and points to what is important to her about it and how she wants it to be performed. I can only compare this astute approach to language used to teach movement in the ancient form of Iyengar yoga, where words are selected carefully in order to produce a certain quality or use of the body. 7, and she still performs, she still makes work, and she performed what she calls the geriatric version of Trio A at Judson Church a few years ago, and where the handstand happened, she didn't feel like she was up to the handstand, so as she was dancing, she just said handstand and moved on. And she just filled in the gap with the word.
What I'm interested in is, after talking to the dance artists, to do both, to open a theoretical frame to think of gender. And I think gender is a very nice way of opening up to physical possibilities. And when I talked to both choreographers, they said what they're especially interested in is that students dare to go a bit beyond maybe what they think they do, and the willingness to enter tasks and to do that corporally without prior aesthetic value judgments. If we can do that, I'm not sure if we ever get there, but it's something we can try to do. They also told me a little about exercises they do. So that's why I'm here. There's somebody else in the group who we sort of dialectically go back and forth, and there's a moment of surprise because we have not planned how this is going to work out. And Marke is a philosopher. I think you teach in Amsterdam mostly. Maybe you introduce yourself too, and what's your input into the...
Well, my name is Marke, and I'm at the University of Amsterdam, and I'm an academic who's most of all what I do is not move and just sit on my butt at my desk. So I'm feeling totally unsettled just even sitting here at the thought of movement, because that was totally unplanned on my part. And I come out of, I'm an American originally, and I worked a lot on identity studies, feminism, queer studies, that kind of stuff. I also did a lot of sports, boys sports, and the issue of gender and sexuality and all that has also been in my personal life an issue. So I think that's a bit what I'm bringing, and I'm somebody who works in lots of different disciplines with many different kinds of audiences. So I'm very happy to be here and to see what I can learn and what I can bring.
What does it do to you?
It's getting very meditative, and I also start to see a lot of details, because when someone is saying, oh, now down was facing like up, and I just do what I know. But if I don't see how you go to the floor first time, I also see that you take the hands like this. This is getting important. Like it's a new movement. Also, I think it's often.
So taking one sense off highlights the other sense. Mm-hmm.
What are you said like we need to warm up. That was the last thing that you said.
And so I took it as I need to warm up, and I follow you, but I felt also that I need more time there, really this is cold, I need to warm that up, warm that longer before I can go there. So I couldn't follow there. For me to be truly warmed up, I needed to stay longer there for myself. So I took my freedom to stay.
So this is another perspective on the one hand it allows one to do, on the other it gives, for instance, time to not watch, to focus a little bit. Do you think you got the thing as I showed it? Timing-wise, so there's something. Well, I'm just looking for categories: timing, instruction to where to stay.
Just for example, I saw Marcella looking to you, and I was still there, and she looked and she went down. So I knew, okay, we're not at the next thing already. And also, you can take it even further, maybe to trust the ones who can see or are seeing what the actual thing is that we need to warm up or.
Now, of course, I can now argue that I probably don't do it right. And of course, there is no right copying of it. But what I do is something else. Lately.
Okay, so what I do is I work from the right side of my body, leading from my head, my knee, and my elbow as far as I can, and then reaching the same way back.
Isolation, actually.
Pardon?
Okay, isolation.
The thing is, it's important that you go exactly back as you can. And the thing is, if you bring in your head, there will be space. Here. Try this. Lie down, have your head here, and see if you can get your arm through it. Put your head to your knee and see if you have space. Yeah. Voila. You get your arm through without any problems. Same thing back. If you try to get your arm through here, no space. Try to get your head to your knees and there's space for your arm. The same way back. But try first your head and knees together. Head, more head. Is that clear? No. Is that head.
On her own, without me leading you to stop or trying to make her aware of it. Try to see. When does the body need to follow? When does it need to follow? See what you need to do with your elbows until you need to do a plie. From your elbows until you need to do a plie. Try. Play well.
And you need to follow. Let's see what happens. Watch what situations occur. And your partner should never sort of run away from you. They should be with you. You should be with them the whole time.
The first one I was watching and the second one I was doing, so I don't know because I didn't do both of them. But I felt that there's more freedom for the dancer to occur in the first one, because when someone says, okay, initiate from the nose, we all know. And then I'm like, where's the nose? I mean, this is the nose.
I saw that we like to make it dancey. By dancey I mean body follows in a more beautiful or more organic way. And I saw with them, I saw a constant question, okay, if this is happening, then nothing more than this is happening. So in that way it made it more honest to me to watch.